Today's spooky spot, we are having a look at the Mezco monster Mez-Itz, Frankenstein, and the werewolf. You will see, yes, it doesn't say Frankenstein's monster, it says Frankenstein. Woo! This is actually the second set that we're having a look at. Spot's already had a look at the Dracula, Vampire, and Mummy. Those weren't three characters, by the way. Dracula and, of course, the Vampire are the same. I like the look of the werewolf. I'm not really sure on Frankenstein, though. He looks a little different. He's got some fur going on there. But we'll open him up and literally, hey, look what we did there. Open him up. Monster. Laboratory. It was a joke. Really bad joke. The back of the package shows all the characters in this release. They also released other ones, too, but the four, I guess these were the four originals. We had the Vampire, the Werewolf, the Mummy, and Frankenstein. To check out more from Mezco, you can go to www.mezco.net. Ha ha ha! I just threw that in there. Spot's going to take a break. I'm going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the monster Mez-Itz, Frankenstein, and the werewolf. Not sure why I used that accent. Don't go anywhere, guys. Stay tuned. Spot, so glad you could make it past the break. Granted, the break was only a second, but we are now looking at the Frankenstein's monster and the werewolf from the monster Mez-Itz. Here we go. Let's have a look at the Frankenstein first. He's interesting in the fact that he's got this fur jacket. Fur, I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's not real fur. It's faux fur. As much of a monster as Frankenstein might be, he does not support fur. You could technically take it off, if you so wish, because his arms are just regular. In fact, let's see if we can remove the arms. There we go, we popped one off. And as you can see, we just take the jacket off. A little warm inside there, Frankie. We don't need to have you so dressed up. I'm going to take this off. You may or may not like it. I'm a little iffy on it, a little iffy. We're just going to put it to the side. It looks like a little small rat. I'm going to not leave that on the floor. I don't want to scare anybody, even though we are in the knee-deep into the month of October. Or Spot could theoretically just throw that completely off, and I could post this at the beginning of the month. Ah! And you guys don't care either way. There you have Monster Frankie. Without his fur. I think it looks better, to be honest, with the fur. Without the fur, I should say. Without. He's got his platform shoes. I think with the jacket on, it looks a little more like Son of Frankenstein. Which, again, debunks the notion that people say, oh, it's Frankenstein's monster! Yeah, well, there was Bride of Frankenstein, there was Son of Frankenstein. They all kind of linked to the monster. They didn't quite link to... There you go. At any rate... Frankie looks like Frankenstein, but then he doesn't quite look like Frankenstein. Of course, with Universal Monsters, you have to kind of finagle around the way that the character looks. Because if you don't own the rights to the monster, you can't technically release a monster that looks like Frankenstein. So bolts, instead of being down by his neck, are up by his head. He still kind of looks like Frankenstein. I get the gist of it. Nice green skin. I like the face. He looks a little confused as well. Here's what he looks like on the back. For his movement, his head is on a ball joint arms, swiveled wrists, swiveled waist, and ball joint legs. The legs are as stiff as the monster I'm sure it's depicted from. It doesn't really move very well. It also has no peg holes on the bottoms of his feet. And my phone keeps beeping. I think there's a ghost in here. I knew I shouldn't have installed that ghost app. Now it's freaking me out all the time. All the time. But he doesn't have any peg holes on the undersides of his feet. Whereas the werewolf does. So it looks like they've added an extra piece, giving him a little bit of extra lift versus the werewolf. Segue time. Let's segue ourselves to the werewolf. Quite like this piece. I do. I mean, you look at it, you know it's a werewolf. Oh, that app. Oh, ghost hunting app. I knew you'd be the end of me. But the head does look like a werewolf. It's not as furry as the universal werewolf, but still, it has werewolf-esque traits to it. I like the ripped shirt. A little bit of blood. I think that's blood, or it could be chocolate sauce. I think it's blood. Arms move quite easily. A little freer than I think the Frankenstein's monster was. I do really like that head, though. The red eyes. I like it. Scary and very cool. So there you have the werewolf. Now let's bring in the other ones that we've already had a look at. We had a look at the mummy. And, of course, we had a look at the vampire. Woo! Now we've essentially made ourselves a little monster mash. And it was a graveyard smash. I love these little Mez-Itz guys. They're a little bit bigger than a regular mini figure. But with the extra little bit of size, you can get a little more detail going. And I like that Mezco really released these. They released other ones too, other monster ones. They also released movie-themed ones as well, like Evil Dead. Ooh, that also sounds like a terrifying segue. Ha ha! Today, this spooky spot, let's move the other ones off. We already had a look at those. Frankie's taking a nap. Today's spooky spot, though, we were having a look at the Mezco Mez-Itz, the monster Mez-Itz. We were having a look at Frankenstein and the werewolf. Certainly stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more spooktacular spots. The month of Spottober. We're going to just keep throwing that in there. Stay tuned, guys. If you dare, stay tuned. I'll see you next time. Ooh.